music now I wanna can I ever refuse it? Pulsating, vibrating, reggae, reggae, reggae. Very sky, rock, steady, mental, a quadrillion.
Good afternoon, wherever you are. This is the Real Stuff Podcast, and today we have a special guest, no other than Dr. Anita Caprice. And with us also is our co-host Flavius. And today, Dr. Anita is going to teach us about soup making. And just a little word, this woman is a wonderful human being. A great poet, innovative person. I don't know, there are so many descriptive words I can use right now, but I'll just leave her to just come and talk a little bit about herself before she goes into the soap making. Take it away, Dr. Anita.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Flavius. It's always so good to be with you guys. Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, hearing you loud and clear.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm Anita, and first and foremost, I'm a mom and a grandmom of beautiful twin daughters, amazing daughters, 2 sons-in-law. They're amazing, and awesome grandchildren of 5. I'm a grandmom of 5 grandchildren. I'm the founder of the Tap Into You movement. I'm an author, metaphysician. That's basically what I do. All of the things that I do wear some hats, and the hats always go into the metaphysical realm. And then also I'm a Michigan Unemployment Appeals advocate, where I represent, consult, and share with Michigan unemployed workers, about the law, and then also represent them. And I'm a rare disease advocate and a human rights consultant. And again, I'm just so happy to be here. And I love to teach. So in this one here, I'm happy to teach this. And I got to take these glasses. For some reason, they're hurting the back of my head. Yeah, so I'm ready to teach this class.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So we
teaching about soup making.
Yes. We are going to be making some soap here. So first, I'm going to share my screen. All right. And can you guys see that?
Yep. Skin
okay, wonderful.
Soap class.
Huh?
I'm just reading Skin Vitamin Soap class. Yes.
Yes, the soap class. Okay, there we go. Then I'll pull it back down. Okay, so this is the Skin Vitamin Soap class, you guys, okay? And what we're going to talk, let me see. I want to see, it's 12:15, okay. I want to make sure I stay within the time. So it's the history, my history, research, main ingredients, supplies, and material, and then when I first started making, and the difference between the 2 processes. Okay, so the history, guys, ever since I was a kid, I've always had problem skin. I always said that my skin was sensitive because I would break out. My mom used to have to take me to the dermatologist. I would have to go into this machine kind of thing with like a ray box. I'd have to step in, and she'd have to use special oil on my scalp because my hair would come out in patches. And I always had problem skin growing, as I became an adult. Well, in 2002, I opened up a little boutique on Woodward here in the city of Detroit, on Woodward in the Cass Corridor area. And what I did, I had like metaphysical products and things like that. But then I started thinking of soap. And I started with the glycerin, because here's the glycerin here. And I started making glycerin. Glycerin is basically a melt and pour. So you already have it in blocks. So you're not making really anything. You're melting it and then pouring it to a mold. And I was thinking, okay, this glycerin natural would help my skin. Well, as I used the soap, and it was very nice. However, it did not change my skin because I've always had eczema and some psoriasis. Well, I then started researching, and I found that with soap, you have to use sodium hydroxide, i.e. lye. That intimidated me. I was like, okay, I can't hang with the lye. So I just started researching that kind of thing. And then I came to the point of started no, I said, well, let me start looking at the ingredients and what ingredients, soaps and fats and butters, oils and fats and butters and different things like that. What would I be looking for? Well, in my research, I realized that there are the oils, also called fats, and the butters, cocoa butter, shea butter, mango, avocado, all of them have their own characteristics, meaning their vitamins and their minerals and things like that, and also like omega, the fatty acids. Well, I started researching saying, okay, well, these the oils, that really help your skin. So then I kept continuing to search. I said, okay, well, I need to really start getting familiar with, to not be so intimidated about using sodium hydroxide. So I started researching sodium hydroxide because growing up, lye is what you put in your sink. You know what I mean? So I said, I couldn't understand how something so harsh could be used to make soap. Okay, so then I just started researching all of that. And then I came to see that there's such a thing as food grade sodium hydroxide. Now, you have to use sodium hydroxide in order to make soap. If you don't have sodium hydroxide, what we have is detergent, okay? And if you look at your detergents, you'll look, there's not, sodium hydroxide is not listed on there. So, detergents are harsh. Well, doing the research, I learned that what happens is sodium hydroxide, the lye, and like I said, I use food grade, and the food grade lye is used in donuts, pretzels, bagels, things like that. I don't know if you know that, but yeah, there is food grade sodium hydroxide used in those products. Well, I noticed that in my research, I learned that sodium hydroxide, what it does, it saponifies. It's called saponification, and that's a Latin word that just really means soap. So what the sodium hydroxide does, it blends the fats, oils with the butters, okay, and then it changes the molecular structure to create soap. Now, once the soap is ready, you no longer have lye in your product. You just have soap, meaning the oils and the fat and whatever else that you use. Okay. Now, what mine, I use my recipe is cocoa butter, raw African black soap, African red palm oil, extra virgin olive oil, and castor oil and coconut oil. Those are the ingredients that I use because I found that those worked best for me. That's what resonated with me as far as the vitamins and the nutrients that all of them contain, because they contain all of the essential fatty acids, and then also the omegas like flaxseed, the same thing that's within flaxseed. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that little bit with you. Now, one
question, please. How important is castor oil to your process?
Okay, thank you, Flavius. That's an important question. Castor, I always use castor oil because castor oil is an occlusive. Okay, it's one of those occlusives. An occlusive is an ingredient that draws water from the environment to keep your skin moist. So it's a skin softener. Yeah, so that's what it protects the layers of our skin, the castor oil.
Okay.
So that's why I use castor oil, because there are different things. There's occlusive, and those are the other, along with the vitamins and the minerals, you have like your emollient, because there's a difference between moisturizer and emollient. You have your emollients, you have your antioxidant, you have your humectant, and humectant, the humectant draws the water, to us. The castor oil slows the water from evaporating from our skin. Because when a baby, how plump a baby's skin is? You know how plump that the skin is? That's because Yeah, that's because it's filled with all that water, you know, because we're 70, some people say, some, you know, say 70%, some people say 80% water. Well, as we grow older, we lose that water. Well, castor oil helps to preserve the water in our skin. Okay, so that's what castor oil does. Does that?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, right. So now in making.
Dr. Anita, before you go on, tell us what kind of precautions is needed when you're using sodium hydroxide.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to go into the supplies and materials. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, yes. So I want to go into, I want to just make sure. Now, one thing, too, before I forget, I want to share that I've been making my own soap for a while. I mean, for years now. We're talking 12, 22, 10, 12 years now. And every time I use my soap, I still get that psychological good feeling knowing that I'm putting something on my skin that's all natural. You know, so I still get that psychological that psychological feel good. Now with the supplies and materials, you need a mask. So you need there we go. You need a mask, an apron, okay, thermometers. You need 2 thermometers, one for your lye solution. I got to put my glasses on. And then another for your fats and oils. You need a knife if applicable. I use a knife because I use African raw black soap in my soap. Measuring cups, because you want to measure, measure if you're using botanicals and things like that. A scale, because you want to be precise. So you want to make sure your scale is nicely balanced. You need a pot, a blender, wax paper, towel, soap slicer, and gloves. So the precautions are you want to use your mask, and then your gloves. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. After you start making your soap, I don't use. Sometimes I'll use a mask. I can't remember the last time I used gloves. I just want to be honest with you. Like no, I don't know. No, I haven't used the gloves in a while. Nor have I used an apron. But when you are first starting out, absolutely, until you get comfortable with what you're doing, you want to wear your mask, you want to wear your gloves, and you want to wear your apron. Okay, now with your sodium hydroxide, if you have like an open space, you may want to mix your sodium hydroxide with the water, and I'll get into that outside. But sometimes I live in an apartment, so sometimes I may go on my balcony. But sometimes now, if I go on my balcony, then I may not wear my mask. I may, but inside I may mix it in my dining room. Now, because when you're stirring the mixture, it can be strong. Sodium hydroxide mixed with water can be strong. So a lot of times I'll wear my mask.
And just to let our listeners be aware that it's also known as caustic soda.
Okay, yeah, sodium hydroxide, lye, yeah, caustic soda, lye, yeah, the common word for lye, but I just like to use sodium hydroxide. To me, that resonates more with me. I think that helped me move to the move onward to make the soap when I started saying sodium hydroxide, because it was the lye that was keeping me. I was like that lye. I said, I'm kind of, that intimidated me. So that kept me from doing it. Yeah. So I just, when I saw it, like this one here, I use, if you can see, let's see, I use sodium hydroxide, and if you can see it, it's food grade. So I do not use the stuff that you can put in your sink. Like you can put this in your sink, but it's not going to work as well because this is food grade. And you can get this online. I get it from Amazon. Sometimes I order from a local shop here, like Walmart. I don't know if you guys have a Walmart, but something like that. One of the big chain stores that you can order. You can order that. Yeah, and that's why you want to wear gloves, because you want to that it can itch, it can scratch you. I mean, it irritates your skin if it comes in contact with your skin. So yeah, it can do that. With another precaution, you want to also use no aluminum. You always use steel. As far as your spoon, always use steel. Okay, aluminum, that's not a good companion with sodium hydroxide. So you always want to use your steel. And I just went to the secondhand store. The steel I keep, these two are so unique in character looking that I don't have to make a mistake if this is my food tool or my soap making. And also as a precaution, you want to keep your tools, your supplies, and your materials, and your thermometer. You want to keep that away from you want to keep it in a separate area. So I have a special soap place in my home that I keep my soap stuff underneath one of the cabinets. Also, I use a wooden spoon for stirring when the fats and everything is in the pan. So I use a wooden spoon for that. And as you can see, you see that black mark right there?
Yes.
As a precaution, I marked it with magic marker because that lets me know that this is my soap spoon and I don't put it in with my other spoon. And even if it does, get into with my other spoon, I know that this one is my soap. So you want to, just separate that stuff, Okay, and then wax paper. You want to use wax paper. Let me see. You want to use wax paper in lieu of aluminum foil, and just regular wax paper. You get it from the dollar store, and that's just to place your spoons and everything when you're done stirring and all that kind of stuff. And then also a towel. Just have a towel because you might want to put your spoons and utensils on a towel because it's easily washable. Okay, so those are the supplies. That's all you need as far as the supplies and the materials. Now, it may seem like a lot, but it really isn't. And then let me move this over here. I'm not sure, but over here, if you can see, I have the thermometer and the bowls. One bowl is for your water, which is distilled, and the other bowl is for the sodium hydroxide. Okay, so I can pull that over here. All right, where are we at here? All right, now, there are two ways to make your soap. There's called the cold process, which I started out doing, and the hot process. That's what I do now. The cold process is really, the process is longer than the hot process. That's why I like the hot process. However, the curing, and I call it maturing, is the same. With the cold process, you just melt your oils, your fats, and your butters. And when it comes to trace, I'll share that with you. When it comes to trace, then you pour the soap, your ingredients into a mold, and then you just let it set for 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, and then once you let it set, then you take it out and then you grate it again. That's how I started. Now I use the hot process. I love the hot process method. With the hot process method, you melt your fats and your butters, and then you add your sodium hydroxide and water to the mixture in the pan. You let it melt, do all that stuff, and then you stir it, and then it comes to trace, which I'll explain. And then once it comes to trace, which means it's ready to just cook, and then you let it cook for about 30 minutes. Once after 30 minutes it's done, you put it in your mold, set it in another place covered with towels, and I let mine. Now with the hot process, once you do that, you can use your soap. I let mine mature just like the cold process for 4 to 6 weeks, because it's not that it's not ready. It's just that the longer you let your soap mature, the harder it's going to be. Okay? Yeah, the longer it's going to last.
A quick question, Dr. Anita. As we know that water is important in the process, but in researching it, I realized that they use purified water. So please explain that.
Okay, well, I use distilled. I don't use purified. Because when I was researching it, and it could be because I'm self-taught, so I didn't go to a class or anything. but I use distilled water, and because of from what I understand, Courtney, thank you for sharing that. From what I understand, the distilled water, it doesn't have the way that it's processed in the distillery kind of thing. It's not like coming straight from like the purified water coming from the fountain, and it's not coming from the faucet in your kitchen or in your home. Distilled water, it has its own process in like a distilled, I guess, factory, if you will, how they package the water, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like I was saying, now it's time to make the soap. Like I was saying, I use cocoa butter, and here's the cocoa butter. The cocoa butter, I did have it here. Well, here's the cocoa butter that I use, and then this is the African raw black soap. Now you can get it from Amazon or your local place. I used to get it locally until the people moved, so I get it from Amazon, and then I use the castor oil. Now I used to get the smaller one. It was some name I forget. But because I use so much of it, I get a bigger one, the castor oil for my skin. I use coconut oil, and the coconut oil, I get the bigger one. And it's kind of hard. Yeah, coconut oil. I use coconut oil because coconut oil is called the miracle oil. And the reason why it's called the miracle oil is because it has lactic acid in it. And that acid is contained in mom's breast milk. So that's why it's called the miracle oil. And then I also use extra virgin olive oil. And I get the big one. And then this is my favorite. This is one. And I use African red palm. And you can get all this. Now I get my African red palm from Amazon. And this is the only one I use, Praise. But that's the only one I use. I used to get it from a local store until they stopped selling it, but I love this African red palm. Oh my God, it has an aroma to it that it just soothes me right on out. I think because it smells like dirt, it just smells like earth or something, and it just that's why I don't add nothing in my soaps, but this, because I want to be able to enjoy the aroma of this African red palm. Okay, so making soap, you decide, you get your recipe. You decide if you want the hot or cold. Like I said, I prefer that hot because it's quicker. You gather your supplies and materials and your fats and your butters. Now, what I want to show you guys, let me see if I can go in here. Okay, let me see. I'm going to stop sharing right now. So let me see. I'm going to see something right here to go in here. Now, where is it? Oh, don't tell me it left. Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, I want to share with you guys, this is where you can go. This is called the Soap Calc, and this is so easy. I love this. So this is soapcalc.net, okay? You just click here. Can you see this? Click here to the recipe calculator. Okay, and let me see. Let me move. I got to move this thing here. Let me close this out. Okay, now, do you see this scale here? Do you see all this here?
Yes.
Can you see? Okay. This is how you can figure out how hard your bar is going to be, how conditioning, bubbly, creamy it's going to be. Okay? And what you do is you change it from ounce to ounces. Okay? You're going to keep it at number 1, your water as your oil. Now what I do, and you just, this is so it's recorded. What I do, I change my super fat from 5 to 8, meaning I want less sodium hydroxide. Okay, let's see. Did I lose you guys? Because I don't see Flavius anymore, and I see Courtney. It looks like you're doing something else. So if I'm...
Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm listening. We're listening.
Okay, well, here, I'm gonna cut this off because I was showing you guys something. So if you don't need to see it, I'll just take it off. Okay, so let me go back to the soap thing. Okay, that was just that was just something that was just an invaluable tool that I use in order to create my recipe. Because one thing with making soap, you have got to be exact. There is no, okay, I'll just throw this in here and then just I'll play it by ear. You can't do that with this soap, because then you'll end up with, you know, stuff you just have to throw away. It's not gonna mature. It's not gonna do what it's supposed to do. Okay, so now the hot process method, what you want to do first, and this is what I do, I add my solid butter and oils to the pot first, because of course it's going to take them, you know, they have to melt. So here's in the pot here, I add my cocoa butter and my red palm oil and my coconut oil to the pot first. Okay, and this is the pot you can get. It's just a regular cooking pot, if you guys can see, just a regular cooking pot. So you're adding, you know, you're measuring, because that's where that soap calc came from. It tells you how many ounces you're going to use for this, how many ounces you want to use for that, how many ounces you want to use for that. So once you get your recipe together, then you add, like for me, I add my cocoa butter, I add my 2 ounces of cocoa butter first, I add my 12 ounces of coconut oil, I add my 13 ounces of palm oil so that they melt. Now, once I do that, then I start making my sodium hydroxide. Now, these are the tools that I use for my sodium hydroxide. And what I do, this here, you have to weigh, because that soap calc is going to let you know how much water you're to use for your recipe. Okay, so anybody, when you're watching the recording, it is soapcalc.net. Please do that, you know, before you do anything when you're doing your recipe. That's going to be a lifesaver for you. It's going to be so much easier for you. So you're going to add your water, you know, to your scale. Make sure you put your scale at 0. Make sure it's weighed right, that you're not weighing the container and the water. So you want to put it, make sure it's balanced at 0. So you want to add your water, and then you want to add your sodium hydroxide in another bowl. Okay. Once you add the solid fats and the butters to the pan, then what you do is you're going to mix your water and your sodium hydroxide. Now, it's very important. Do not add water to your sodium hydroxide. Okay? What you're going to do is add your sodium hydroxide to your water. That is the way you do that. And you don't just dump it in there. What you do, what I do is I just sprinkle, stir, because you want it clear. When you're done, you want to make sure your water is clear. So I just stir it, and I add little bits at a time. Then when it gets about a quarter down, then I add all of it to there. And then I just stir it. I just stir with, I use this spoon. I just stir it, and as you stir it, it's just getting hot. And you'll see it, you know, the smoke and all that. Because you're moving it. It's active. You know, you're activating this solution here. So you're stirring and stirring and stirring, and then when it gets clear, that's when you can put your stuff on your on your wax paper. And then when you're doing that, when that's done, you add your thermometer to your sodium hydroxide mix. All right. So now then you just put that to the side, because that's done now. That's done, because it takes longer for the sodium hydroxide to mellow than it does for the fats and the oils. So once you do that, you put that to the side, and then once your butters and your fats, all that has melted, then you simply add your extra virgin olive oil or whatever your liquid oil that you're going to be using. Okay, stir it. Make sure that it's nice and mixed very well, and then stir it, and then you're going to put this another thermometer in your pot with the oils. You're going to put another thermometer in the pot with your with the oils. Now, what you want when you're going to the time that you know when you're going to mix the sodium hydroxide with your oils and fats in the pot is that you want your temperature to be between, like you want your temperature on both thermometers to be between like 115 to 125. Now it can be five or so difference. Like your oils can be like 120 and your sodium hydroxide can be at 125. That's okay. When you get to that point, okay, that's a good temperature. Now you're just going to pour your sodium hydroxide mixture into the pot with your butters and your fats. At this point, then you're going to start stirring. And you're just going to start stirring and stirring. And with a spoon, that's why I use my the wooden spoon. And then once it looks like all of it is mixed, then you're going to use your hand mixture. Your hand, and where are we at? Okay, yeah, we're there. You're going to want to use your hand mixer. This is a lifesaver because when I first made my first batch of soap, I didn't have this. I didn't know anything about it. And I stirred and stirred and stirred with my left hand, right hand, the changing for that soap for at least 3 hours. Because what you have to do is you have to stir and stir until your mixture begins to trace. And all trace means is that it looks like pudding. So when it gets to the point that it looks like pudding, when you stir, like when you go, and this is electric, when you stir and everything, then lift up this mixer from your mixture, if it looks like like the oils now have thickened and it looks like a pudding, then now you know you're at trace. That's called trace. Okay? Am I losing you, Courtney?
No, I'm here.
Okay, good. Okay. So that's trace. Okay. Now, once you do that, and when you cook, I cook mine on low. Now I do, let me just say this, I do while I'm melting my fats and oils, I do put my crock pot on high because I don't want to wait all day for it to do. But once everything is liquid, then I put it on low. Okay. So now once your mixture has come to trace, it looks like pudding, it has the texture of pudding, then you just put your top over your pan, over your crock pot, and you put the timer, mine has a timer, if yours don't, all you do is look at the clock, see what time it is, and say, okay, I'm going to let this cook on low for about 30 minutes. But now you want to watch it. You don't just put it on 30 minutes and just go somewhere and say, okay, well, I'm going to go out or whatever. No, you want to watch it because it may not take 30 minutes for you. It depends on the crock pot. You have to come to know your utensil. Okay, and then also as it's cooking, the mixture, all of the fats and everything, now it can rise. So now, and when it rises, all you do is just stir it with your spoon just to put it back, together. About 5 minutes, and you'll know when your soap, or you'll know when it's almost time to come out the pot, because let me show you here. Do you see here around the edges of the crock pot? Do you see that soap that's sticking right there?
Yeah. On
the edges? That tells you that okay, you can start to pour. You can take your ingredients, your soap ingredients out of the pot because it's done. And it's going to be anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes. That kind of thing. But that's your guide right there. When you start seeing that, saying, okay, I'm cool. When you start to see that, okay, what I do is I unplug, and now it's at the point that I'm adding. You see that over there? Can you see my mouse? I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah, we're seeing the mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So you see this stuff on top of the soap, the mixture here? That's raw African black soap. So while my soap was cooking, I just simply cut up I used 2 ounces of solid raw African black soap. So about 5 minutes before, I'm getting ready to pour, because I said, okay, it looks like it's done. It's around this edges. Plus, as you stir it, as you can see down here, you see how this is melting. But you see after it's cooked, you see how thick that is?
Yeah.
Down at the bottom here?
Yeah.
This image. Okay. So then you know. And one other thing that you want to get is your silicone. I put it on there, your silicone mold. And now this is a blue one. I have, and this you can, all of this stuff you can get from craft store, Amazon. I use this one here. This is a silicone mold that I put my soap in. And what I do, I weigh it. And you don't have to weigh it if you're doing it for yourself. But I used to sell my soap, so I had to make sure that the weight was good, when I'm selling it. So you just add your soap to your mold, and depending on how much you use, like I think mine is like 61 ounces. So of course I use 2 of these. So if you're only doing it, then you might say 20 ounces, 30 ounces. 1 mold is enough for you. I love the silicone because you can easily, you see how giving that is? I mean, it's like once you put your soap in your mold, and then you're gonna place it somewhere in your home in a way, like in a corner somewhere, cover it with a towel. And what I do is I leave the soap, the recipe, I leave my recipe in my mold for 2 days. And then after that second day, I do one of these and take it out, and then I weigh it because I just like to see how much my soap weighs when it's done. So then I'll weigh it. Once you take it out, then you can just place it back in your shelf or whatever, minus the mold and minus the covering, and you just keep it in your closet or wherever you're keeping it for about, like I said, I do mine 4 to 6 weeks, so that I want it to be nice and mature. And then once it's done, maturing for about 4 to 6 weeks, then you can get your cutter, or you can use a regular knife. I just use these, I use these here, my soap cutters, or a regular knife, and then you just cut as big of the soap that you want. Now these are mine. Okay, so this is one that I just took that's in my closet. That over there, you see that? I love that palm. This is that red is that African palm right there. That's the only one I make right now. This one here down at the bottom, this is lard. And lard is excellent for, if you have sensitive skin, lard is a gentle soap to make. Yeah, the lard. So that's lard. And then this is extra virgin olive oil, but inside here you might see the speck. This is flaxseed in there. I added flaxseed in that one. And then I'm showing you how the mold, this is the one with the mold, the picture with the mold in here. And see how the soap is in there, fits so nice and tug, and it's nice and smug and everything. And then I have like little cupcakes, silicone cupcakes, that sometimes they want to, like make little round ones or, that kind of thing. But basically I use the silicone log mold. And then this one here is just all the soaps that when I was making them, these are all the soaps. These soaps have lavender in there. You can use essence oils. And these, I didn't show this. Let me go back here. You can use botanicals, essential oils, kalanji, seeds, your salts. If you want an exfoliant soap, you can use your salt, your seeds for the exfoliant. You can use herbs for it in your soap. They make wonderful dried herbs and dried fruits and seeds and salt. They make wonderful additions in your soap. And when you would add your seeds in your soap, you would do it the same way when you're adding, like when I added that African raw black soap. You just add your additives, your supplemental ingredients. You add those like 5 minutes before you're gonna take the soap recipe from the pot to put in the mold. So you don't put your ingredients while it's in the mold, because that that's already done. Once you put in the mold, you want to put it aside. So you want to add all of your ingredients while right before you take your recipe out of the pot. Now with essential oils, you do want to do a little research if you want to do that, because there's medium, high, and base notes in an essential oil. a high note, are your citrus oils. They evaporate quickly. So you want to do your measures. Base oils, that's your sandalwood, your those kind of oils, frankincense and myrrh, patchouli. So that is a stronger character, if you will, chemical agent, if you will. And then the middle note, which would be like lavender, clary sage, different things like that. So if you want to add essential oils, you do just want to, just be careful. Be mindful of that. Because if you want a lemon soap, you're gonna have to put more lemon essential oil in there, and you may want to put it in right before you're taking your mold out, not 5 minutes before, because you don't want the heat from the soap, because it will be hot. You don't want the heat from the soap to evaporate the oil. Let's see. Let me see, make sure I didn't miss. Okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, and then these. And then just lastly, this is my product sheet right here. When I would sell my soaps, I gave everybody a product sheet to let them know the type, like the oil. Olive oil contains minerals and vitamins K and E. That's for mature, dry skin. It's also an antioxidant, the properties, occlusive agent, and anti-aging. And then I also use rice bran. Rice bran is a wonderful oil to use in I think it's Japan. It's called Nukan Buta Ninja, something like that. And it's called that means bright skinned woman, that she's beautiful, because rice bran helps to brighten, not lighten. It helps to brighten your skin. So sometimes I use rice bran as well. And then I would just use like the exfoliants just to let people know, because what's in the skin vitamin. And that's why I call my bars skin vitamin soaps, because they're just filled with vitamins and minerals, and they are vitamins for your skin. Okay, and then it's just this here to be good to yourself, and then that's it. I just want to thank you so much, and I hope you got some. I think I kind of lost you guys. I saw Flavius. He left from time to time. I saw Courtney looking down and looking, but at least it's recording. So I appreciate you guys, letting me share this information. So do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I noticed that you didn't mention anything about colorants, and because I've been checking on this soap making thing, because I'm very much interested in soap making. So.
Okay, yeah, colorants. I don't put colorants in my soap. You can, only thing with those and with things like that, what I would share with people, because even this right here, I still would say, research your stuff. With colorants, you want to make sure that it doesn't have any preservatives, because the main thing is you don't want to add a preservative to something that you're making natural. It's like, okay, it's an oxymoron. I'm adding I'm adding something unnatural to something that's natural.
Yes, and another quick question before you go. What determines the hardness or the softness of your soap?
Yes, the hardness will determine how the hardness and softness just means how long it's going to last. That's why I like my soaps to mature 4 to 6 weeks, because it becomes hard. If it gets soft, that just means that it's not going to last that long. And with one thing about your natural soap, when you start to use it, you want to make sure that when it's not in use, anything that you're not using, I put mine in my linen closet in the dark, and then the bars that I am using, like a piece of soap that I'm using, I get one of those soap dishes kind of things, with the little bumps. Oh, I thought I put it on here. One of the little, the soap dish, they have little bumps on it that you can look your soap on, and then also, you want to rinse your soap, because this is all natural, so it'll melt. So if it stays in water, it's going to melt. If you keep the bubbles on it, it's going to melt. But if you, if you rinse it off after you're done and place it on something where it can just air dry, it'll last longer for you.
Just want to say, Dr. Anita, when you don't see me, I'm still hearing every word. So I did not miss anything.
Okay.
But I want to say, I'm very impressed with the presentation.
Thank you.
The presentation was very, very professional, well laid out, well together.
Thank you.
And the colors
That means
too.
a lot to me. Thank
the colors
you.
too, yeah, the colors are wonderful. And I think this is something that a lot of people can go into.
Absolutely. You know, one
Yeah.
thing I want to share is that, you know, it seems like it may seem like it's a lot, but it really isn't. And one thing I got it is so therapeutic.
Okay.
I love making soap. It's just so therapeutic. And, you know, once you get in the right mind, everything, you all, you know, that gratitude state of mind. So now you put that energy into your soap and everything. It's just a wonderful experience.
So do you make anything else?
I make candles.
Oh, please. Can we get one of those? Can we get a candle presentation?
Absolutely.
Please.
Now, I do have a candle presentation. I had to do this yesterday because I thought I had a soap presentation. When Courtney asked me on my birthday, I was like, yeah, sure. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I can just break out my soap, you know, PowerPoint. And then I think it was the day before or something. I said, okay, let me get yesterday. I said, let me get my PowerPoint, And I looked up, I said, oh my God, I don't have a PowerPoint soap thing. So I got this together yesterday.
Wow, that is fantastic. But the soap and the candles go well together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you talking about, you know, especially in your tub too. Ooh, taking a nice bath with some Epsom salt and some dried milk in there and stuff, and bubble bath, and you got your soap, and then you got your candle.
Oh,
That
yes.
used to be my thing. That was my prayer meditation time.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you were doing some kind of poetry right there.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I can see, I didn't even know. Yeah. And see, and what I use is soybean. You know, soybean, you can eat it. I use soybean wax.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Courtney, if you could arrange for the earliest possible time for us to get the candle.
Let's see. Yeah.
It all depends on Dr. Anita because I know that she's very busy. So.
No, I'm not all that busy. I love to teach. I love this stuff. I mean, so maybe I'll take what's October 2nd? I don't know what is October 2nd. Maybe we can do it like in October. I got all my stuff here, so forgive me. I have all my ingredients. I'm all packed in here. You can't see, but I'm really packed with all my supplies and ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
So it's on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, Wednesday's fine.
Okay. What about October 9th?
Okay, yeah, I'll book you in for that.
Is that good? Okay. Sure. So let me see. And that one I do have an ebook too.
Okay, wonderful.
So I do have, and I said I'm gonna make an ebook, soap making ebook soon.
Okay.
Oh wait, you know what? I can stop staring. Yeah, I forget. Okay, yeah. But I do have an ebook that I can send each of you to.
That's really wonderful. Yes.
And I'll put candles. And I think I have a PowerPoint candle. I'm gonna look and see. If not, you know, I'll get that together. But yep, I just knew I had a. I was thinking. I said, "Where my phone?" I'm looking through the thing. I'm like, "Wait a minute, I know." So that thing was no. I said, "No, you didn't do it."
So okay, Flavors, can us close us out, guys?
Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Anita. And we're looking forward to the partner product, candles.
Okay, yep, yeah, nice. That's a nice companion. Okay, you guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, see ya.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You lead us soon, Fula. You belong far away away. Ajugwala Lebabu Seru. Lida Mua, Lida Sungfula. Lida Mua, Lida Sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me do what set me a pick a flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out the side. Me have to take away myself. I have to take away myself. I have to utilize I will.